everyone, welcome back to TechZulu Live from New Media Expo. I'm your host Amanda Coulong, and I am here with Cesar Abeid with Construction Industry Podcast. How are you?
I'm great. This is awesome. Having a great time.
What do you think of New Media Expo?
You know, this is my first time here. I didn't really have any expectations, but it's just a different kind of conference. I attend conferences for the construction industry, and this is very different. There's this sense of sharing, of collaboration, of helping each other out. Everybody here has a platform, so everybody wants to get on each other's platform, and it's understood. So people expect you to come and pat them on the shoulder and introduce themselves.
What about pat them on the head?
Yeah, that's right. Some people have spiky hair. It's not good. So I just love it. I love the environment. I love the connections that I've made. I got to meet Leo Laporte and a bunch of the other guys that I follow. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time.
So people are approachable too, yeah?
Yes. I think it's understood, and it's not awkward for you to come and talk to people because everybody expects that. So, and people have done that to me as well, right? So it's great. Yeah.
So you have a podcast about the construction industry. I find that intriguing because I like very specific vertical industry media, so to speak. So why did you start a podcast around the construction industry?
That's the question, isn't it? Well, the thing is, I'm not a professional blogger, a professional podcaster. Right. It's very, very part-time. In fact, I think I spend maybe 3 hours a week on this podcast. Sure. But I provide a service. I work for our small family business, and we provide a very specific service for the construction sector. We install cameras, and we do time-lapse videos for construction projects. Ooh. So it's something that people are not necessarily looking for. So historically, we had to go and do cold calls and try to get people to come to our website that way, and it was really hard. So I decided to come up with an idea to have people stumble upon us and land on our website for something else, and then get to know us that way. And the podcast is a great way to do that, and I called it the Construction Industry Podcast, because if you're in the construction industry and you want to subscribe to a podcast, you can't not subscribe to that podcast, okay?
Pretty straightforward, folks.
Right. So we're at the point now that I believe over 90% of our traffic comes because of the podcast. So when you land on the website and you're listening to the episodes, you're watching a live feed from a camera, you're watching a time-lapse video that we provide, and I talk a little bit about, I don't...
That's almost integrated advertising.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm not a marketing person, so I just...
You're a genius. No, that's integrated advertising. Okay. I mean, if you're including time-lapse videos in the podcast, or on the site, rather, around the podcast, then that's integrated advertising.
There you go. So now I know. But yeah, so people come for the podcast, and I don't sell it specifically during the show, but I do say that this is what I do. Yeah. So my point is, number one, for them to come to the website and see what we do. Number two, if they ever come to a point in their professional life that they need the type of service that we provide, they'll remember me because of all the content that I provided. They heard my voice, they trust me, so yeah.
What do you talk about on the podcast?
All sorts of things. So I had an episode on the building of the Sydney Opera House. I interviewed the project manager for the expansion of the Panama Canal. I had the architect for the Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest building in the world, out in Dubai. And then I also have people who are not celebrities, but are doing great work in the construction sector and nobody knows about, right? I
love that. You're uncovering really cool and interesting stories.
I'm probably the biggest fan of the podcast because I get to talk to these people, and I'm making connections, and not only that, now on places like LinkedIn, people want to connect with me because I have these connections. Right. So it's... any way you look at it, it's good. Yeah,
so surprising benefits probably that you weren't even thinking of too.
Exactly, yeah. So I was talking about the Sydney Opera House. If I'm ever in Sydney, I've been offered a private tour of the building, and I can go to the basement, see how they do the cooling using the seawater and all that. So
I think you need to have an extension now of the podcast. So you'll have the Construction Industry Podcast, but then you'll start a video series on top of that where you go visit all of these places.
I know I need to take notes.
I think we're onto something here. But what a great example, though, of trying to find a unique way of driving some business for the family business and doing it in a unique way, but also in a way that is going to play into something that you enjoy anyway.
Yes, and I have to say, even if I probably would be doing this even if there was no benefit to my company, because it's so much fun. It's so much fun, and I get to talk to these awesome people and connect. network within my sector, which is huge, and there's a lot of people trying to sell stuff. So when I used to call people trying to sell, it's always no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna be interviewed. Yes, it's always a yes. Podcasting is a yes business. That's the way I describe it.
There's our quote for this interview. Podcasting is a yes business.
Please tweet that at Cesar Abeid.
I love that. At Cesar Abeid. You actually spell your name for everyone so that they know how to tweet you.
Yes, CesarAbeid. Or you can just go to constructionindustrypodcast.com and there's a link to the Twitter feed right there.
Perfect. And lastly, any tools that you've heard about here at New Media Expo that you're probably going to start using?
Tools, I attended a session about how to conduct interviews because that's what I do. And
Oh no, you're going to judge me, aren't you? Aren't you? You're about to judge
I'll
me.
give you some pointers later, Nothing major. Just some color card. No, I'm just kidding. Like the boots, though. Awesome.
Thank you.
But some new techniques. Some things I'm doing already, but it was great to hear from somebody who's interviewing millionaires and very successfully how to do it better. And also there's always some sort of new gadget that you can use as well. So but mostly it's on how to conduct interviews that I think that's the most that I'm taking out of this.
Maybe I'll start a podcast on TechZulu about how to do interviews, Efren. Guess we're going to have to do that. TechZulu brings you how to do interviews.
There you go.
Boom. There we go. Well, before I do that, we have to make sure people go to constructionindustrypodcast.com.
That's right. And please leave a comment there if you want to. Connect with me. I'd be happy to hear from you. And let's collaborate.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Cesar.
Thank you.
Wonderful meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.